Welcome to another dose of Empire, where we share stories to elevate and inspire. I am honored to introduce our next guest. She's beautiful. She's a French teacher. She is an inspirational and motivational speaker. In my book, please help me welcome the one and only Chloé. Hi.
Hi, Mimi. Bonjour, Mimi. How are you, my love?
Bonjour. Merci encore for being here. I love doing this, especially with, oh my God, an amazing inspirational teacher like you. I have to say, I started by watching you on Clubhouse. I went into your room and I was not only mesmerized, I sent your room to so many of my friends. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, you need to go check it out. Just because you're amazing. I went to your class. I do speak French, by the way. And, but just sitting in your class, I was smiling, I was laughing, and it just reminded me of all these French words I honestly forgot. So my first question is, how do you get your passion to teach and to keep it so entertaining for your students?
Oh, well, thank you very much for this introduction, Mimi. I must say I'm very honored as well to be here. When I received your message, I was like, oh, wow, she really loves what I do. And this is really nice. She wants to hear from me. And this means a lot to me. So thank you so much for having me, Mimi. I'm very happy. And you're a French speaker as well. So c'est parfait. Je suis très contente d'être là, ma beauté. Alors, I'm so happy and honored to know that you've been sitting in my Clubhouse rooms. Were you in the audience or were you on stage?
I was both. I think, so let me give you guys a quick background about her class. I was in your class and I think you were going through the month of the year. And it was just basically, we would say the month in French, obviously, and then we would pronounce it, and then the entire class would pronounce it, and then you speak to the phrases, and then I think one word I really stumbled upon was, how do you say bonne année en français? And I totally forgot. I'm telling you, I'm also an English speaker, but I don't speak French as often as I really want to. So when I sat into your class, it was home. It was such a refresher. And I sent it to so many of my friends and they said they're in there and they're like, Mimi, thank you so much. But we were learning about the month. So that's when I sat in your class.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you so much, Mimi. The passion. I mean, the French language is very. It's always been around. Fair enough. I was born in France. I was raised there. But whenever we had French class in French, at school, being either the stories or just all these fairy tales and all these novels and stuff. To me, it was heaven. I was raised with the dictionary. My mom, literally, I mean, she's just next door and she understands English. She will be like, yes, that's her. That's my girl. I used to spend literally hours browsing the dictionary and, doing all these dictées. And I was just mesmerized by it, knowing that I was using the language every day. So to me, teaching, knowing that, I mean, I'll come to this later, so I won't touch up on this now, but to me, it's just explaining the rules of the game that I know and I've played so much. And it's just easy. And to me, the trickier your questions, the better it is for me. I'm just a kid. Just playing around and being in my own element and trying to make you guys enjoy the language as much as I do. That's all I do, and I love doing it. I love seeing you guys on stage, learning from me, and when I get feedback like yours, well, as soon as this live ends, I'm gonna go and in the shower and I'm gonna cry thinking of all the beautiful things that you've said already. We've only got started, but yeah, thank you so much.
No, honestly, her class is, anyone listening, is the class to be in. I'm glad you got your passion really to entertaining us, but at the same time, you are having fun. What was some of the biggest challenges? I paused by asking that question because watching you, you look like you're having fun and you are pulling us into your fun journey, and in class doesn't even feel like learning anymore. It's just about it. And not only that, you have a surrounding environment where everybody's supporting each other as well. I'm hesitant to ask, but what is one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome to get to the stage you are in right now?
Well, this is something I've always loved, and teaching as a tutor first, because for years I had like a main job and then I was teaching as a tutor on the side. I started when I was 20, no qualification in French whatsoever. I'm not a trained teacher. I don't have any degree in teaching. This is what I love. And today I feel sometimes I've got, imposter syndrome. But then I'm like, no, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I do best. And this
the real
is
deal.
Go ahead with it, and challenge. Well, I'm lucky enough to kind of set the pace in my Clubhouse rooms where, I'm here to make everybody feel welcome. I'm very patient as well. So teaching has taught me, patience. You guys, I'm saying you because you've come to my room a couple of times. You say, so, you guys are home. You could be in the car. You could be, just waking up. So I don't see you guys. Fair enough, you're in my virtual class, but I don't see you. I don't know you that much. I don't know what you're currently doing. So, it's natural for me to repeat the same thing and then to mention that the link is here and this. So sometimes I receive messages from you guys losing patience and telling me, can we get something? It's been 3 minutes. So challenges are probably, I'd say out of all the clients I've had. So Mimi, I teach French to, I have students who are actually students. I have professionals. I've got politicians, I've got, I teach corporate, and I've got, corporate businesses. So biggest challenge probably, I'd say one day I was a bit much younger, maybe like 23, 24. And I had I was tutoring to a student he came across as, somebody who had a big ego, and it's always tricky to teach people who seem unteachable. Who like to question everything that you do, and it was just unpleasant. But at the end of the day, I think after a couple of lessons, he did really enjoy it and didn't enjoy it. And at the end of the day, Mimi, if it doesn't feel right, then oh well. But I didn't see it as a failure, and of course, it didn't make me stop or carry on, not carry on. It was the other way around anyway. So probably that one, yeah.
Okay, I can see that, because if they are not flexible, therefore it's really hard to share to learn, to help them learn what you're trying to teach. Because I think with teaching, with learning, you have to have an open mind. You have to be willing to receive something new. And if the person is being unflexible, I can see how it can be very, very.
Yeah, it's very rare in me. I mean, you've been on stage. I'm talking about the stage a lot because Clubhouse really has changed my life in that aspect. That this is when I was able to say, "Hi, this is Chloé, the French teacher. Come on up if you guys want to learn." So I'm like the teacher with a little green bean, and then there's you guys, and I try my best to make you guys feel comfortable, when you guys repeat, when you guys read, when you guys answer questions. So usually it's going really well, and I'm very happy.
I have to ask, you mentioned Clubhouse. So let's pivot to Clubhouse a little bit. I enjoy Clubhouse. I think during the pandemic, unfortunately, I think the Clubhouse grew even more. So with that being said, how has teaching on Clubhouse help drastically for you? Or maybe because you said you're a tutor, that you've done it in person. So how is it different doing it in person versus Clubhouse? For those of you who don't know, Clubhouse is a setting where it's purely audio, so you don't get to see audience. A lot of people would say, oh my God, this is a challenge. I could not even teach in that format. Yet this young lady managed not only to do a great job to retain her audience and to do it days in and days out and to captivate people like me, just phenomenal. So how has Clubhouse, would you say, help creating that portal, that audience for you?
It's just very easy. You know, when I started Clubhouse, like most French speakers, because I live in the UK, but my first Clubhouse connections were all, you know, French, because I sponsored. You remember at the time we needed to sponsor, we had to sponsor people. So I invited two of my friends, and then we created a community, and then there was another existing French community. So at first I wasn't really sure what to do there. But when I saw the potential and, you know, I just created a room, at first it was just a mess, Mimi. It was just a mess because I didn't have the Google Drive link or any sort of link tree. So I was, at the beginning, there was just 12 of us. It was just 12 of us. I was just DMing the lesson to everybody. And then I said, wow, if I want to take this further, I'm going to have to get a little bit more organized. And some of my students actually helped me and said, you know, Madame Chloé, I love it when you guys say that. Madame, you may need to create this and that and this and that. And then because I was showing up 3 times a week, and I still am, you know, the rooms became bigger and bigger. I think the peak I've seen in my room was once, I can't remember when it was, but it was 146 people at the same time listening to me, fair enough, but also quite a big stage as well, participating. So teaching online, but not just like me and you right now, without seeing the people. At first it was kind of fun. I think people joined because they were intrigued. Fair enough, they were interested in learning French, but they were intrigued as well. And I think that, you know, with people like yourself, you know, mentioning it to your friends, and then, you know, just in French, it's le boule de neige, so it kind of like snowballed in a way. And you had more people who actually wanted to see what was going on and who got trapped, and now they're scared.
That's right. We were definitely trapped. Oh my goodness. Really, I remember my friend. First of all, I love Clubhouse setting, especially in the pandemic. I think it was just a portal where you can decompress, you can meet people from all over the world. I loved it. And I told my friend, listen, you need to come in. And by the way, I sent him so many different rooms because I told him you need to, but he loved languages. He loves Germany. He loved to travel. But when I sent him your room, not only he stayed there, I don't know for how long you were there that day. You were there for at least maybe 4 hours. I'm not sure, but you were there for a very long time. And he stayed there. And because I was trying to call him to talk to him about something else, he's like, no, I'm busy. I'm in Chloe's room. I can't do anything right now. But you did trap us. That's my point. Not only you trapped us, you captivated us. And I love that. So where does your love for the French language come from? You mentioned obviously speaking French, and obviously you speak English as well. Well, if you don't mind me asking, how many languages do you speak?
So French, English, I have, you know, in school in France from the age of 13, we learn what we call 𝐓𝐇𝐀𝐍𝐊, langue vivante 2, so another language on top of usually English or German. So I took Spanish, so I've learned Spanish. I've learned Italian as well, but now when I try to speak Spanish, I sound very British, which is funny.
It's a great thing. It's a good thing, no?
You know, I went to Barcelona, and they were like, oh, you know, you're from England, and I said, yeah, how can you tell? And they were like, well, you know, the accent. And I said, wow, that's crazy, because my Spanish used to be much better than my English up until I moved to England 11 years ago. So yeah.
Incredible. You know, I think a lot of us can relate. So like my French used to be better than my English, by the way.
Yeah.
My French used to be better than my English. and then I slowly, now obviously I'm speaking French now, I'm speaking English now, but I speak English. So I try to find ways to really brush on my French. So
Yeah.
the fact that you kind of had to do the same thing with Spanish, what would you recommend besides your class for people to do to really retain the French language as they continue either on a daily basis or even in a professional setting?
I think for French, but for any language, but again, I'm just going to talk about French because this is what I know best. I teach English as well, but I live in England, so it's kind of easy for me. But I have advice for that as well. When I first moved to England, so let me just take English as an example. I knew English from school, and I was really good at it. I was the best student in English. In English class back in the day when I was in school in France. But it was different. So moving to England, I had to brush up my English skills, because I was like, well, I don't understand. I'm the best student, but now it's hard. So, just little things, changing the language, the language settings of your phone, and making sure that you've always got you're always in contact, or kind of, you immerse yourself at least half an hour to an hour a day in the language. It could be through music, it could be through series, it could be through movies, it could be through, now Clubhouse, back in the day there was no Clubhouse, but Clubhouse, podcasts, anything like this. But to me, you need to have some sort of permanent contact with the language. On top of that, you need to make sure that you practice what you hear, because most of my students, intermediate level, they can understand everything that I say in French. However, they always tell me, oh, my problem is speaking, and it's because they don't dare, they're not really sure, they're missing some words, so that they'd rather keep quiet than actually say something and make a mistake, which is when I come into place, because, as a refresher and just as, just here to, boost their confidence during the classes, make them read and then make them practice, and building lessons that they have a serious interest in as well, also helps you practice the language and discover new words, and realizing that 3-letter word in French called qui, actually, if you don't know how to use it, then now you know, so you can make longer sentences. So it's fun. For me, it is fun.
I love it. I think you said something very powerful there. I could not have agreed with you more, because when I hear it, so if I were to watch a French movie right now, I would understand everything that's been said. Yeah. But and I remember I was working as a cashier, and we had people who came from Canada, and they started to speak French, and I think they were talking between them. He said something in French. I laughed. She's like, "Vous comprenez?" I'm like, "Yes." And then she was like talking to me in French, and she's like, "But tu ne parles français? Vous avez parlé français?" I'm like, "I understand, but I can't respond." Because I'm like, if you're talking crap, I'm gonna know. But it was just so hard to actually speak it. So I agree with you. But I love the idea of changing your front setting to French. That's an excellent idea.
I mean, the phone is an example, Mimi, but literally try to integrate the language in your easy daily tasks. If the phone is one example, but I'll give you another one. Let's say when you have if you have like a morning routine, not even, the creams or anything, but just, the simple process of, waking up, getting up. I don't know if you want to do shower first or wash your face or breakfast, I'm not sure. But just whatever you do, if you manage to make a sentence about it, even if it is just in French, I wake up, je me réveille, je me lève, je me brosse les dents, je prends mon petit déjeuner, je me lave le visage, just things like this every day, and you make sure that you repeat them. When you hear French sentences, make sure that you try to repeat them as well. Get out of your comfort zone in a way that, try to think, I am a Frenchman now, I am a French woman. And, you know, if she said, if the lady that you're listening to is saying, bonjour, madame, comment allez-vous? We try to, you know, forget, you know, what you're going to say, the bonjour, madame, because this is not what she said. She said, bonjour, madame. So try to mimic. Yes, be an actor, be an actress. Yes. I think this is good. Just tiny exercises like this can really make a difference. I always tell my students, you know, there's a difference between a good French speaker or English speaker or any language speaker, like a good French speaker, and a great one. And it's always, you know, got to do with the details, pronunciations, the liaison, everything, the R's, everything.
Oh my goodness. So it's a funny story. So my cousin actually lives in Belgique. And I remember back then, so when I used to speak French, and they used to say, Mimi, you speak with avec un accent, with intéressant.
Really?
I think that's what they used to say. You speak like vous êtes intéressant. Pourquoi vous parlez comme ça? So I love the fact that you said that, but at the same time, I remember I went to visit my cousin. He lives in Belgique, and obviously, at least from the part where he lives, they speak French. And I remember I went to see him as I'm sitting in the plane, and I write my diary sometime, and I was writing in English. And I'm like, oh my God, what if I forget my French? I have not been speaking French for so long. This is incredible. And then I remember I got there, the entire family was there. They greeted me. They're like, Mimi, we miss you.
Aww.
And I remember, but everybody, tout le monde parlait en français. But I keep responding in English. They're like, tu comprends? Vous avez oublié la langue. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? But I was like, I don't know.
Oh.
But I love the way you said, but I remember at one point, my cousin spoke to me, do you want the petit déjeuner? Do you want this? And it was just like, did you brush your teeth? Do you want this? And eventually after 2 weeks, because I was there for, I think 2 weeks, 1 week, I was speaking in French again. It was all in my head. I remember when I got back in the plane and I was writing my diary, and it was in French.
Wow.
So my question to you is, it doesn't have to be French specifically, but walk me to the process of, you said you learned English in school, but when you got to England, it was just a whole different setting for you.
Italy.
Oh my God. Walk me to the process of how that journey, how that switch was for you.
To me, when I first went to England for maybe like 2 or 3 months in 2009, I said to my mother, I really want to be there, I really want to stay there. So the following year, I managed to find a university in England, in a city called Coventry, where I could do my third year of international business, which is what I studied. So I moved there, and everything was in English, of course. And the first week, Mimi, my head was just like, because, you know, I guess, I mean, it will be the same for you if you came to France to study, or just in a fully French environment where you've got to, the first weeks, you've got to listen to the lecturer, so you've got to translate what he says, and then you've got to make notes, ideally in French. And then you go home and it's, you know, 6 p.m. At 7 p.m. you're just gone. You're just sleeping because you're tired. So my first challenge was this. My first challenge, was this one. And then I made friends. I decided that, you know what, Chloe, this is your final year. You are doing it in the UK. You are paying for this year, because my school in France was, you know, there was no, I think there was just some registration fees, but they were quite low. But you're paying for this year and your accommodation, everything. And this is an experience, and you're 20, you only live once. So make sure you make friends. Speaking to myself, Chloe, make sure that you make friends with the locals. And this is what I got a boyfriend, which always helps, Mimi. It always helps.
I heard that before, and I could not have agreed with you more.
Always helps. And then I never left. I never left. So I've learned everything. Mimi, I was crazy. Have you been to London? Have you been to London before? Have you been to London?
I've been once.
Yeah.
Because I went to Brussels, and then I went to Paris, and then I went to London, but for a very short period of time. I wish I stayed longer, but no, not that long. I really want to go again. So why would you recommend?
Come back and see me. That's one thing for sure. In London, of course, just like in every tube or subway or metro in the world, you've got, it could be a man or lady's voice who is announcing the station and what you need to do here, you know, a light here for British Museum or this or that. And Mimi, I was repeating in my mind, and at home, I was doing it out loud, the lady's voice. She was saying, oh, you know, this is Piccadilly Circus. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform. I can't tell you how many times I've practiced that line. I wanted to perfect it. My goal was to be perceived as a local. I didn't want to be, oh, she's the cute French girl with a French accent. Yeah, for a year, it was enough. And I said, no, I want to be, you know, a part of this wonderful city, and I want to be a Londoner, 100%.
Are you guys listening? Everybody from the UK or from London? One of yours now, and she's there to stay. I love it. But how did you know to me? I'm always afraid to go to a new setting. How did you know it was for you? I can totally relate, but how did you know? Going back to France was no longer a question.
No. Do you know what? I realized that quite quickly because, you know, I did that first 3 months in, well, you know, the university year started at the end of September 2010. By New Year's Eve, I knew I wanted to stay. I didn't want to come back. And, you know, it's like, you stay here and then you like it so much, and then you're making friends. And I was going out and partying a lot, probably more than I should have at the time.
We're having fun. That's what life is all about.
I was still keeping up with the lectures and everything. I was still being a good student, and I loved it so much. To me, at that age, you know, 19, and you know, I was no longer a teenager. You know, you're in that transitional period where you're becoming an adult, and I still had, you know, little insecurities here and there. And for some reason, when I was in England or in my new environment, in French you'd say microcosme, you know, in my new little world, I could escape who I was. This makes me, you know, sound like I was terrible. Absolutely not. But I could be a different version of me, that I liked more and I was more comfortable with. So I really enjoyed it, and which is why I guess I am forever, you know, linked to the UK for that reason. So yeah.
No, don't feel bad saying, you know, I love doing these interviews because sometimes people get that haha moment. Sounds like you had that haha moment, that version of yourself. Not per se you didn't like what you were before, but sounded like it was just a new setting. It changed your mindset, the way you view the world, maybe. And that feels good inside. And if you feels good inside, when you feel good, you do good, and it just spreads everywhere else in the world. So
it has changed my life more than I would have changed my life without it. Perhaps I would have one day decided to teach, but maybe at a much later stage when really I needed it now, you know? So I'd say probably I wish I had dared more at the time, but is it really something I regret today?